on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're out here today in beautiful weather. I just got 30s put on, the old 23 Teryx 4S. So I just kind of wanted to make a video about how my experience has been with 30s, what I had to do to get them to fit, and then some common questions that I saw when I was doing my research. Figured I'd compile it as best I could, put it into one video, and so hopefully this will help some people out. So yeah. Machine looks fantastic with the 30s. They're 30 by 10 by 14 on the stock SLE wheels. I went with the Tusk Megabytes. I've seen some good reviews for them. The pricing was really good. They were on sale for like 150 bucks a tire. And so I snagged some up, went and had them installed. I also put in 1.5-inch wheel spacers, and then had the preload collars tightened on all four corners to kind of give me some increase in ride height, more ground clearance, all that good stuff. So I want to talk about fitment. Like I said, these are 30 by 10 by 14s on all the stock wheels. You can run these without spacers, at least on the S model. I would probably still keep the spacers on. I did 1.5-inch spacers, and it spread the width out a little bit more with going with the height. It makes it feel way more stable. 3 inches wider is actually really noticeable on the off-camber stuff. But as you can see, the machine still flexes really well, even with the coilovers being raised up a bit. I have them, they're cranked down about, I think they're about 1 inch, and then I run the compression knob on the softest setting. And it really didn't change the ride all that much. It's actually much better. I don't have a sway bar on here, so when I'm taking high-speed turns, I don't have as much body roll. It's actually really nice. Between the stiffer coils, or the stiffer preload, and then the wheel spacers, it feels way more planted when I'm driving. I will say that the fitment on these is pretty damn good. It looks really good when it's just sitting in the garage. It looks much better. I wish the S models had come with 30s from the factory. Just looks way better. And I think, in my opinion, it's a better size tire for what most people are going to be doing with these, which is trail riding. When I put them on, I did gain about 3 inches of ground clearance from the bottom skid plate up here to the floor in my garage. So pretty happy with that. And I can still fit in the garage just barely. I'm rubbing on the weather stripping when I'm pulling into the garage, but it fits. So can't be too mad about it. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of the feeling of driving that has changed since going up to these 30-inch tires. I feel like the steering is much more responsive. Before, with the 9-inch wide tires, they were just, it felt like I had to put a lot of input in to get where I was going. And now with these, it feels like that same amount of input has made it turn sharper. It does have a little bit wider of a turning radius for sure, but is what it is when you go with wider tires. Power is still really good. I haven't done any clutch work to this machine. I don't know if I don't think I need to, based off how today went. I was doing a lot of like low gear 4-lock stuff, and it felt pretty good that whole time. Didn't feel like I was underpowered. So I don't think I'll need, you don't need to do clutching with these, the Tusk ones at least. These are pretty light tires because they're not a true 30-inch tire. I think they're like 28 and something. So you don't need to get clutch work done for these. However, the heavier ones you probably will want to. So far, so good. Brakes feel more underpowered than before for sure. I definitely noticed I have to put a lot more pressure on the pedal to actually come to a stop than with the other tires. So, I mean, these had bad brakes from the beginning. I said that in my review of the machine, like they're just not really great brakes. So these are definitely exacerbating. I'm going to try to look into a bigger brake kit for it. Your acceleration is still really good on this machine. You can still get up to 50 miles an hour, at least mine, no problem. I feel like I have plenty of my power still when I'm bombing through the desert. I can put my foot down and I get that instant response still, which I like. So overall machine runs really well with these lighter 30s. I have no problems besides the brakes with how it accelerates, the power, the torque. With the suspension being cranked down, I have noticed that like the smaller hits are a little bit more harsh. It's not as smooth as before. However, when I've been hitting these bigger whoops and bigger bumps and stuff, the big landings feel way better. Like I feel like I have a really good. I'm not bottoming the suspension out anymore. You know, I feel like I have way better high speed performance with this, whereas the low speed performance has kind of started to lack a little bit. So Elkas will probably be something I buy down the road to get rid of these foxes. But right now, gets the job done. It's not too bad. So, if you're not on the Team Teryx or Teryx Nation Facebook groups, I posted a question saying, hey, I'm making this video. What questions do you have about running 30s on your machine? I know this is a big expense, so a lot of people do a lot of research beforehand. I'm one of those people. So these are some of the questions that were asked. Do you need to lift it, or can you run it without a lift? You can run 30s by 10 without a lift on the S's. I personally did the lift just because I wanted more ground clearance for more like technical terrain that we have out here. But you can totally get away with no lift and no spacers on here. Take your stock wheels off, put the new tires on, and you can run it like that. Is it a heavier tire? Yeah, it's gonna. Everyone is gonna be heavier because of the size difference. More rubber, more weight. It's always gonna be heavier. Is what it is. Do you need clutch work? After ripping this thing around the last couple days, I put about 60 miles on it with the new tires. And I will say, I don't think you need to, for at least, like I said, in the lighter weight tires. I don't believe that you need to do clutch work. You totally can. I've heard that these things need clutch work from the start. So if you're somebody who's really going to notice the clutching, sure, you're probably going to want to change it. But for most weekend warriors like myself, I don't think there's any problem with it. I still have enough power to go full speed. I still hit the rev limiter. I've got enough torque to get up everything. So right now, I don't think I need to. So I'm not super concerned about doing that yet. And somebody had a comment that just says, if you're going to do this and you want to run spacers, the best way to do it is to run 2-inch spacers in the front and 1-inch spacers in the rear. It'll make it so the wheels are perfectly the same on front and back. I just went with the 1.5 inch because, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter, and you can't really tell by looking at it, so I'm not super worried. Can you run 30s on the stock rims? Yes, I am doing it. The stock front wheel is a 14 by 9, and I think the rear rim or wheel is 14 by 10, I believe. So you're going to be fine running them on here. If you run them on stock wheels, I would say don't go below 10 psi. So that way you're not worrying about peeling the bead off or blowing a bead or anything like that. So the last topic I want to cover is the ground clearance. For me, it's really important out here. We have a lot of rocky terrain, so having more ground clearance was a huge plus for me. We're up at 13 inches of ground clearance now with the little bit of lift and then the 30-inch tires. I have so much more confidence going over rocky terrain that I'm not going to bottom out. It also helps that I have the 1/2-inch skid plate from Super ATV. It's the AMWR, whatever it is. Really great skid plate. I suggest if you're doing trail riding to get that. I was amazed at how thin the stock skid plate was. It's basically just a dust shield. It's like a quarter inch of, not even a quarter inch, it's probably like an eighth of an inch of plastic. Doesn't really protect anything. Mine was mangled after only being on for like 6 months, and I only have like 600 miles on the machine, so I don't get to ride super often, but when I do harder stuff, and I just tore that stock one to shreds. So I feel way more confident now hitting the trails with these 30s and with the skid plates. I highly recommend those be some of your first mods if you're going to be going down doing trail riding. The machine itself is great. I do have plans in the future to go up in wheel sizes, all that, but that's a long time from now. I don't have the money for that yet, and I have a baby on the way, so finances are now a little tight. So yeah, if you're thinking about running 30s on your T4S, by all means go for it. I think it's a huge upgrade. They should have come like this from stock. Really makes a total difference in the machine. No lift, no spacers, just slap them on and go. If you want to get crazy, you can crank that preload just a little bit, make it sit a little bit more even, and then add some wheel spacers. Helps with the tip over angle and all that stuff. It makes it feel way more planted. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support as always. Leave your comments and questions below. Give the video a like and subscribe. I'll be doing more Teryx content as time goes on. So we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.